That's the problem sometimes with people. They think they have to talk somebody into something as opposed to asking questions.
There are some people the business isn't right for. And
Right.
it's the amount of time that it takes for them to realize that, to the amount of time when they go broke.
If you don't listen to people's negativity, you can succeed. The market is between your ears. It's not out there.
Welcome to Signature Buzz, your fast-paced weekly real estate sales meeting.
Welcome to the Signature Buzz, your go-to podcast for real estate professionals looking to elevate their game. I'm Brandon Roberts, along with my co-host Chris Bishop this morning, and we're joined today by somebody very special to me. I've known this guy for, I think, over 22 years.
Yeah, it's going to be 23 years because Chantel is 22.
Yeah, that's crazy. You weren't supposed to say anything and pop on screen yet. It was going to be a big reveal, but welcome, Alex. So I met you, almost 23 years ago. I met you at the Delta Center in Salt Lake. It was at a Utah Jazz game. And I was looking at a new franchise that had just came into Utah. And I got invited to the game by the regional owner, Spencer Kimball. And we were put up into this suite. We had to get upgraded into there. I think we were just kind of filler seats for the room. We weren't the high-priced targets. But so the regional owner didn't really have a lot of time for me and my business partner, Andy, at the time. And we got paired up with you that whole night. And I really believe things happen for a reason because that night led off to a great relationship, I think, for me at least. I've learned a lot from you. You were my coach for many, many years. You've been a mentor to me. You're like a father to me. And I've just cherished our friendship over the years so much. And I remember you coached me, I don't remember how many years, somewhere between 3 and 5 years, because Andy, my partner at the time, signed up us for coaching, and then he moved to Florida, and I was too scared to cancel it. So we continued to coach for a long time, but you helped me build an office that I'd struggled with. I'd been independent for like 5-6 years, and I think you're the springboard that's led to all my success in real estate brokerage. You took me from 9 agents to 3 offices with over 320 agents with your coaching, your mentorship, and your guidance. So I'm excited to hear what you have to say about the market. You've got a great story. I know you're an immigrant from Hungary through Canada. And I'm just looking forward to kind of sharing you a little bit with our agents and our listeners. So welcome, Alex.
Well, great. That was a fantastic introduction. I really appreciate it. And, I appreciate all the credit you're giving me. But you know what it is I've trained and coached a lot of people over the years, and some of it stuck and some of it didn't. So it's not as much the coaching as the person's willingness to apply and implement the things that we're working with. And you were very ready and willing to do it. And I always ask people when they call me and say, can you coach me? And, I tell them how much I charge, and they go, oh, wow, that's a lot. And I go, well, first question is, are you coachable? And that was one of the big things, Brandon. And we've built a personal relationship as well as a business relationship. And I always enjoy seeing you. Looking forward to seeing you again next week. And, it's been a great ride. I've been in real estate for 40 years. This is my 41st year, so I've seen all the ups and downs and the sideways on the craziness and all that kind of stuff. And it's interesting where the real estate business is right now. So I'm excited to talk to you guys and reach out to your audience. So thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. So I teach a class called the Real Estate Academy. It's a week long. It's modeled after a course at Utah. Taught boot camp for Exit Realty as a corporate trainer for a lot of years. And I know we used to bring you into Salt Lake, into our office at least once a quarter to beat up the agents. And if you've been through my academy, I'm a lot nicer than you. I remember one story. I actually got the nerve up to go through your boot camp, and I was sitting in my office thinking, okay, I'm the broker. I don't really have to make these calls. And I'm on the phone, and interesting enough, this guy I was on the phone with actually called me this morning, but I'm on the phone talking to him, and you walk in the office, and you grab the cell phone on my hand, and you go, what are you doing? And I said, I'm on the phone. And you put the phone to your ear, and you go, he can't talk right now, and you hung up. And I was like, "Uh-oh, what the heck did I do here?" But you taught me a valuable lesson. I think you taught a lot of our agents over the years that nothing is that serious, and you've got to dedicate that time to prospecting and building your business.
Yeah, absolutely. It all boils down to discipline and doing all the things that you need to do. And we can look for distractions. Hey, listen, I got to admit it. I'm not as active in real estate as I used to be. I don't get up in the morning and get on the phone and hit hammer and do all that kind of stuff. I don't need to. I'm in a pretty good position as financially. And so, I'm not rich or anything, but I don't have to get up and do it every day. But if you're in real estate and you're serious about it and you're full time, there is certain things you must do. There's got to be a strategy. There's got to be a system. You have to have a schedule. I was very diligent on my schedule, and I remember drilling it down to everybody. Stay on your schedule. Nothing is as important for interruptions, and that's one of the things that agents do. And we'll look for distractions. It's a lot easier for me to scroll on my phone or get on the internet and get distracted than do the thing I have to do. So definitely that's the thing. And you're definitely much nicer than me.
you used to say you practiced pigeon management, where you come in and you crap all over everyone and then fly out.
That's
Then we'd have to
exactly.
clean up the mess.
And unfortunately, I'm going to miss your training. I'm going to be leaving the day before you guys do that training. I was hoping to attend, but I have to go to California. I've got another big meeting over there for a couple of days, and so I figured since I was that far west, I might as well go to California and see some old friends and go to a seminar that I haven't been to for years, and so I'm just going to kind of
very cool.
up. Yeah.
Very cool. So let's talk a little bit about time management. And my introduction to time management with you was, I know for it was like about 6 months, I paid you a lot of money to coach me. And every week we'd get on this coaching call and you would say, "Hey, how'd you do on your schedule?" And I would say, "Not so good." And then you'd beat me up all the whole time about the schedule. And then at the end of the call, then you'd say, fax me or email me. It was fax me back then, your schedule. And I'll review it and then stick to it. So you beat me up for like 6 months doing this. And I realized about 6 months into it that I wasn't writing my schedule for me. I was writing it for you, what I thought you wanted to see. But let's kind of talk about what's important in the schedule and how to kind of time block and do that.
Well, first of all, the thing is, I actually shot some videos on this. And what I say in the video about time management is that, number one, you cannot manage time. It's impossible to manage time. The last 5 minutes has gone by. There's nothing we can do about whatever happens. It's what you put into the time. So you can manage activities, but you can't manage the time. So as long as we can get that into our head, is that we can manage the activities and not worry about the time aspect of it, then we can figure this thing out. So what you do is you look at your schedule and you say, okay, what are the key activities that I have to do? What's the most important thing I have to do every day? Number one thing you have to do is build your business. And so the very first thing you should do in the morning is, after you worked out, I used to work out every single morning. And what you do is you make the calls or you reach out to customers or whatever way or format you're doing it, you got to prospect. The more you prospect, the more business you're going to do. There's a direct correlation between prospecting, and I used to say contacts equals contracts, period. There's no secret to that. So if you have a problem with time management, then all you got to do is look at what's important to you. People say, well, I don't have time to exercise. Yes, you do. You have time to exercise. It's just you don't want to. My daughter, Michelle, she got onto a fitness program and she was actually teaching fitness. And she used to say that there is two pains in life. It's it's not doing something is just as painful as you're going to do it. So pick your pain, so to speak. Jim Rohn said it's the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. You got to pick your pain. And so if you decide what's important to you, to me, what's important is my health. And it's important to me. So I got to exercise on a regular basis, is to make sure that I can keep going. I was not as strong as I used to be. I can't do the things I used to be able to do, but I'm pretty good. I was talking to somebody earlier this morning about health, and he said the average, North American male lives to 74.1 years. Well, I'm 75, so I just went beyond that. So I know I'm doing better than the average, and I know I've got a lot more time to go. My father-in-law is 89, so he took somebody else's, 15 years from somewhere. So, you got to look at that. So what's important is if it's important for you to be healthy, you take care of it. If it's important for you to make enough money, you got a good life, then you're going to plan and prospect. Even, it's funny thing is I teach prospecting. I never liked prospecting. People used to say, well, you must really love prospecting. I don't really love it, but I know I had to do it. So I got good at it. And once you get good at something, it becomes easier to do. It's not as scary. It's not as bad. And I know in your training that you got coming up, I hope a lot of your agents are going to attend that. And it's a fantastic training. I've seen you do it a couple of times, and unfortunately I'm going to miss it. But it's exciting. It's exciting to do that academy and getting people to do the right things that they need to do. Period. So. Yeah.
So I got to ask a question, Alex. I've noticed about you. I've only known you 5 years. You're like an eccentric uncle to me at this point, which I think is great. And you have a very direct. I mean, like there's direct, and then there's Alex, right? You tell it like it is, and I think that's a skill that many people lack because everyone's so damn diplomatic on everything nowadays, and they're so they go around subjects, and you come out and say it. You say exactly what needs to be said, and say prospect. Like stop making excuses. Stop putting all these things out there that just go prospect because you don't want to. How have you utilized and cultivated that skill of being curt but kind?
Well, you know what it is? It was Jim Rohn many years ago. Gosh, it's been over 40 years, 50 years since I met him. He was my coach, and he was pretty direct in a very kind way. He was much nicer than me that way. He would sugarcoat it a little bit more, than I do. I just say it directly like that. But he used to say that you just got to be honest with yourself. And he says that as a coach, when you're coaching people, you got to tell them because you're going to help them. It might look like a little bit of pain at the moment, but it's not really painful. I just had my daughter here, Chantel from Daytona. She lives in Daytona still, and she was over here on the weekend, and she broke up with her boyfriend, and she got the guy, he came over to her place, and she changed the lock so he can't get in, and he's gone, and she didn't tell him that she's breaking up with him. She said, I'm going to tell him next Friday. I said, why, delay it? Rip that Band-Aid off. Just do it. The same thing with prospecting. Just rip that Band-Aid off. Pick up that phone. When I used to do my boot camps, I always made people prospect. And, I would put them up in front of the room sometimes by themselves and do a call. And because I would do it myself. So I would never ask somebody to do something I cannot or not willing to do. And so I would always demonstrate it. I would, okay, give me your toughest client. Give me your worst, FISBO. And sometimes I would walk around the room and people are making calls and they get blown away by a FISBO. And I said, give him to me. And I'd call the guy back and I book an appointment. They go, how did you do that? I said, because I was focusing on the client. I wasn't focusing on the process. I was focusing on what the client was looking for, and, you got to find out why they're doing it. It's like buying a car. I went in to buy a car. When I was living in Vegas, I went in to buy a car and I said to the guy, I'm looking for teal convertible because at the time, the company I worked for, the colors were teal. And the guy says, oh, you don't want one of those. What you want is a black one or a silver one because, blah, blah, blah. And he was giving me all these reasons. He wasn't concerned about what I wanted. He was concerned about him selling me a car. And I'm like, read my lips. I said teal. Don't try to sell me something. So that's the problem sometimes with people. They think they have to talk somebody into something as opposed to asking questions. When I prospect, I've got a couple of people right now. The guy's like, there's no way I can afford to sell my house for what you said it's worth. And I said, okay, well, what's the option? You're going to pay 2 mortgages. He's buying another house. So let me solve that for you. Let me show you what I can do. We can do a subject to, where we can take away your mortgage and, we can do some funky financing. And he was like, okay, I can do that, because he was looking for a solution. The problem is, so I just say it like it is. The guy says, well, I want 450 for my house. I said, but it's only worth 425. He goes, but I need 450 because I got a 430 mortgage. I go, what if we can get rid of your mortgage for you? He goes, okay, how could you do that? So then I explained him what we can do. So the thing is, sometimes you got to be brutally honest. I had an agent work for me many years ago. He wasn't a brand new agent, but he was coming from another company. And I made him business cards. And I gave him his business cards. His name was Frank Stone. And I handed him the business card. And he goes, I don't like my business card. I don't like my picture. I go, what's wrong with your picture? He said, I look fat on my picture. I said, Frank, I got news for you. You are fat. Okay. So he was like, oh, I said, I can't take a skinny picture because you're fat. So sometimes you just got to say it like it is and rip that Band-Aid off, So I called my daughter.
I think that's great.
I called my daughter yesterday after she drove home, and I said, so did you rip the Band-Aid off? She goes, no, she's really nice. She's an S personality, and you guys know the disc. And she goes, no, I don't want to hurt his feeling. I said, you're going to really hurt his feeling on Friday. What are you going to do? Call him up and say, hey, I need to get together with you for coffee, and then meet him and say, by the way, we're broken up. Get the hell out of my life. I said, that's worse. I said, just pick up the phone and say, dude, we're done. You should get the notice. Okay, I told you, I changed the locks. You can't get in. That's it. Because she wants to move back over here to Tampa to go to college over here and get close to us. So we're selling her condo and she's going to buy something over here. But the point is, sometimes you just got to rip that Band-Aid off. And with agents, Brandon remembers, I used to enjoy firing agents. He goes, well, how can you? He never liked firing agents. He says, would you come in and fire my agent for you? I said, you're doing him a favor. It's called a career relocation. It's I'm not firing them because I don't like them. They're just wrong for the business. Then, I wrote a book on, the disc and on script. And I used to say to the agent, you could eat my book and it's not going to make you a real estate agent, right?
So you make an interesting point. Like, there are some people the business isn't right for. And
Right.
It's the amount of time that it takes for them to realize that, to the amount of time when they go broke. And so your approach of, hey, do these things, stop making excuses, or reload. What did you say? Business relocation?
That's right. Career relocation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or the funny part I used to tell agents, okay, I'm going to take you to lunch, and I take them to lunch and get theirs to go.
So I always let people go on Thursdays after my call with Alex.
Yeah.
During the coaching call. But coaching was always fun with you because it allowed me to step back and really focus on my business rather than working in my business. And my staff used to know that I had a call with you, and they always kind of dreaded Thursdays because I'd come out of there a little bit more focused. Not that I was firing anyone, but I had a little bit of that Tasmanian devil you have inside you coming off those calls. But you also teach in the boot camp, and I also teach in the academy now is scripts, right? Scripts and dialogues. And you bring up an interesting point that it's not all about you, and you got to listen to them. These scripts are kind of designed to get you to the point where you can find out what their needs, their wants, desires are, so that you can actually have a conversation, offer them a solution. But one of my favorite stories from you is when you came over from Hungary, and it was Halloween. And you went trick-or-treating. Can you share that?
Oh, yeah. Well, when I came from Hungary, we didn't speak a word of English. So we arrived in Canada, and we arrived October 31st. And we were with our Hungarian friends, and they told us about this thing called Halloween. And there was no Halloween in Hungary, not at that time anyways. So they gave us these masks, and the first scripts I learned was trick or treat, give me something good to eat. Of course, back then it was trick or treat, give me something good to eat. And so we learned that script. And the beauty about that was we knew no other scripts. We knew nothing else. So it didn't matter what they said to us. All we did was walk up to the door and say, trick or treat. And then they threw candy in our bags. And we thought, what a cool country. And what our friends neglected to tell us that this is only once a year, one day a year. So the next day, we got dressed again, me and my brother around 5 o'clock. We put on our mask, we got our little bag, we walked out on the street. And I looked around, I said to my brother, this is really cool. We got here before the competition got here, you know? And so we we're going to get more candy. Went to the first door, we knocked on the door, and, the guy answered the door, and it took a little while, and he looked angry. He was like, wow, he's telling us in English, whatever he was pissed off about. Well, here's the reality of it. We didn't speak English. So it didn't matter what he said to us. We couldn't listen to it. We couldn't understand it. So even though he was negative, we did listen to that. We didn't understand it. So, he slammed the door in our face. We went to the next door, and the lady that we talked to, we go, trick or treat. And she was blah, blah, blah in English. And we didn't understand. We just kept repeating our script, trick or treat. She went to the kitchen, got some candy, threw it in the bag. And I go, man, it was much easier yesterday. They were nicer yesterday. It was much easier. And here's the beauty about that. We were out there for about an hour or so, and we went to many doors, and some people actually gave us candy. And some people slammed the door in our face. It didn't matter to us. And the beauty about that is that I learned 3 very valuable lessons that day. And if people just take those 3 lessons, write it down. Number 1, is if you persist, some people are going to respond positively. So it was a matter of numbers. So on the second night, it was a matter of numbers. We still got some candy, not as much, but we knew the script. Okay. So that was number 1, is that if you persist. The second thing, what was important is if you don't listen to people's negativity, you can succeed. In real estate, here's what's happening now. Oh, the market is bad. The market sucks. I've been doing it for 40 years. For 36 of those 40 years, I sold 100 homes a year. And the economy was up and down. I got into real estate in 1983 where interest rates were 20%. My mortgage on my house was 17.75%. So when people say to me now, oh, it's 7%. Oh, shut up. Just buy a house. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. What's 7%? I was paying 17.75%. So the thing is, if you don't listen to people's negativity, agents, even today, they're like, well, the market sucks. I go, no, you suck, not the market. It's because it's your attitude, it's your thinking. So if you change your thinking, and that's one of the biggest things that, Jim Rohn coached me for a couple of years. And he used to say to me, it's thinking that gets you into trouble. It's up here. The market is between your ears. It's not out there. It doesn't matter about the economy. I don't care what Trump does. I don't care what the other guys did. I don't care about tariffs. I don't care about any of that stuff. What I care about is what I'm going to do. Because I guarantee you, doesn't matter which side of the fence you're on, the government is never sitting down planning on how to make your life better. It just doesn't happen. It's not all about them working on your thing. And all those billions that are going to be saved, I guarantee I'm not going to see a dime of that in my pocket. They're not going to call me up and say, hey, we saved 17 billion. Would you like it, Bill? No, that's not going to happen. So, if nobody's going to retire me, nobody's going to make sure that I make more money on my Social Security. They're not going to, do anything better for me overall. So if you don't take control of your life and your finances and your attitude, nothing's going to change. Jim Rohn used to say, for things to change, you have to change, or nothing's going to change. You want to lose some weight. Well, guess what? Eat less, move more, exercise more. It's a very simple mathematical formula. Same thing with business. I need to make more money. Okay, get off your butt, go out in the morning and make some calls. I don't like making phone calls. Well, life is tough. I have another daughter. I have Michelle, who is my oldest daughter. She's been in real estate for like 25 years. And she does really well up in Canada. My other daughter the one that's 47 years old, she got into real estate about a year and a half ago here in Florida. She moved to Florida. Unfortunately, her 45-year-old husband died of COVID back in the COVID a couple of years ago. But when she worked with me, because back up in Canada, she was actually helping me, and I tried to get into real estate. I said, I don't make phone calls. I don't want to make phone calls. I'm not going to do that. So she joined a company, a team down in Port Charlotte. And every morning she has to go make phone calls. And it's because people are making her make phone calls. She's doing fantastic. She got like 11 listings. She got a bunch of closings and everything. I saw her about a week ago, and she goes, "Oh yeah, I gotta go make phone calls." And I go, "You never wanted to make phone calls when you worked for me." But of course, they never listen to Daddy, but they listen to somebody else. She goes, "Well, I have to. I don't have a husband. I'm the only breadwinner. If I want to eat, if the kids want to eat, I gotta work." I go, "Guess what? That's the way it works." So, there's no excuses, and people will make the shift and the change. If the pain is big enough, then you will do something about it. People will go and do something either because of pain or gain. But most people will only do it is when they have a lot of pain. So why is it? You see it in your company. Why is it that agents literally have to go almost broke before they get off their butt and say, "Okay, I guess I'll have to make the phone calls. I guess I have to go do the work"? Why does it have to go to that point? Or why is it that people have to have a heart attack or a stroke or something? My son-in-law that died, he was 45. He was grossly overweight. He ate crap. He smoked all the time. And he never exercised and never went to the doctor. So when he was in the hospital just before he passed away, he was like, "Hey, Alex, I'm going to change. I'm going to make some changes. I'm going to do things differently." But he was telling me all the things he's going to do, and then he died a couple of days later. I'm like, "Why did you have to wait this long? I've been telling you for years, stop smoking, stop drinking, eat better, and go exercise. Go see the doctor." He never liked to go to the doctor. And my daughter said to me, this was a couple of weeks ago. She goes, "I'm so mad at Sam because he never went to the doctor. And if he went to the doctor, they would have discovered that he had a problem before it actually happened, and he had the stroke." So why is it that something bad has to happen to somebody before they get off their ass and do something?
Yeah,
Why
it's
is-
sad. You taught me what you call it, the day of disgust, the day you just say enough is enough, and I'm going to do that. And unfortunately, a lot of people in business, life, everything, hit that day too late or realize it too late. And so you've been one of the most disciplined and structured people I know. Because when you say you're going to do something, you do it, and it doesn't matter how hard it is, how tough it is, or whatever. But you do it, and you do it consistently, and you've proven that you get results, and that's why I've been successful over the years. I know you say that I had to do the work, and that's true. But by you laying it out there and being as tough as you are, that's what caused me to go in that direction. I trusted that what you told me was true because you lived it. Now, what advice would you give to a new agent, brand new agent coming into this market today? What would you say? Where should they start?
Well, first of all, here's the thing. You're a brand new agent. You know nothing. So you are brand new. You're a brand new screen. There's nothing on that blackboard. So you have to listen to everything I tell you. And it's all about coachability. Do the things that I tell you to do. Sometimes they go, "Well, why should I do that?" It's because I know how to do that. I was doing a training in California many years ago, and there was a mother and son team. And when I was started to talk about prospecting and everything, they started debating me. And I turned to the guy, and he was like, "Well, I don't believe in that. I don't think that works." And I go, "Let me ask you something. How many homes did you sell last week?" He said, "None." I said, "I sold 2. How many did you sell last year?" "Well, we did a few transactions." "I sold 100. So I know more than you do." So shut up and listen, and otherwise, like, get out of my training. And they were like, well, all right, we don't want to be in the training. So they were leaving my training. And then he said to me, you told us that there's 100% guarantee, if you don't like the training. Guy says, yeah, to get our money back. I go, yeah, I'm guaranteed 100% you ain't getting your money back. Okay. And I threw him out of the class. And a week later, the broker fired them. And he goes, I'm so glad you did that, because I've been trying to get rid of these people because they were annoying. They're disrupting the company. They're debating everything I do. They fight me all the way tooth and nail. And, they were such a bad example. And by the fact that you really hammered them, I was able to fire them, and everybody was happy. The whole company was happy that they were fired because they were disruptive. See, you and I talked about this. There's different groups of people in your company. There's the people that are willing and able. Those are the best ones, the top producer. They're willing to do everything. They have the ability. They're trained. They're willing to just do everything. Then there is the second group, which is willing and unable. I love these people. These could be the brand new people. They're eager and willing, okay, but they're not able yet. So I can train them. These people are trainable. The third group is unwilling and able. They lack motivation. I'm able to work with them and get their motivation up. I can help them. I can look at their life and say, okay, what's blocking you? Because maybe mentally they don't have, motivation. And maybe can work with those people. And then there's the group at the bottom that's unwilling and unable. Those are the people you got to fire them constantly, because they're the ones that are dragging your company down. And what's amazing, I've been watching you over the years, Brandon, of how you built your company and how great, and the place you supply them with, the locations. I've been in your locations out in Henderson and the other one over, the new one that you guys have. You built beautiful offices for these people, and some people don't appreciate it. And you give them all the support and all the help and everything, and some of them will never make it. So let's cut the crap and let's get rid of them, okay? Let's have a come to Jesus meeting, okay? All right? I think I told a story.
I'm a lot
years
like
ago.
Chantel in that. Like, I'm going to change the locks, and I'm not even, I'm just
That's
kidding.
right. Change the locks. When you come to work tomorrow, if the lock doesn't work, take the hint. But many years ago, when I first got started in real estate, and I didn't do very well. For 6 months, I never sold a thing because I didn't know what to do. And then I went through the training of the DISC, and I finally listened, and I finally paid attention, because the trainer said to me, Robert Kiyosaki said, it's not about you. It's if you focus on the client, if you focus on the people you're working with, that makes the difference. That's when you become a success. So I stopped focusing on me. I stopped focusing that I was broke and no commissions, and things were really bad for me. I almost lost my house. And I focused on the customers, and everything shifted. The whole thing changed dramatically. In 9 days, I did 13 transactions because I changed my attitude. So the thing is, if agents are just going to be able to focus on what they need to do and what they have to do. Anyways, so I started to do really well, and I became sales manager of the company I worked for. And then I bought the company from the previous guy. And I looked at the agents. We had 63 agents, and 50% of the agents didn't sell a single thing for 6 months. So I separated. I had a big meeting. I called a big meeting. I got everybody in this big meeting room, and I put the people that actually sold at least something on this side of the room and the other people on the other side. And I said, okay, guys, here's what we're going to do. Okay. You people did something, and you're willing. Are you willing to do what I asked you to do? Yes. Great. What about you guys? You didn't do anything because you're not paying attention. Good. You're all fired. Let me tell you, I got the attention of the rest of the people immediately. I fired half the company. And you know what happened to my company? We doubled the sales the following year because I got rid of all the people. And you know this as a broker. The people that require the most amount of time and energy are the people that don't want to do anything or not able to do anything. They just take so much work. They suck the energy out of you. They're fun suckers, okay? They just suck it right out of you. So it's best to just get rid of them. So, you know,
So now all my agents are fearful that they're not going to have a place to go tomorrow. But
yeah,
and
listen,
and you've calmed down over the years. That's the funny thing.
just analyze the company, take a look at it, look at the numbers and look at the people. And I know that and Chris, those people that are sucking the energy out of the business. You guys know that already. It just, you're such a nice guy. Okay. You know, just, do we
I
have to
love my
call Elon
agents.
Musk? Do I have to call Elon and say, hey, come on over to Brandon's office and get rid of some of the government efficiency here? Let's do some efficiency.
All my agents are willing.
Well, the good thing is you don't drive a Tesla anymore.
Alex, I want to bring up something that you said that's really important. And like, I don't always look at getting fired. Like I would look at getting fired as a bad thing, but like, it's always that fear structure. Like I've never been fired from a brokerage, and I always put that on my list because I had my shift, like my emergency, like holy crap, am I getting out of the business? And instead of getting fired, I went and sold houses. It seems like everyone, yourself included, you said 6 months in, you went through a shift. Why does it take so long for some people to hit the shift? Like why do we see these people like 6 years in the business that have just been bumping along? Is it because no one took the energy to fire them? Because no one took the energy to say, what the hell's wrong with you? I mean, why do you think that is? Why do people go so long without?
First of all, they don't have enough pain. The pain is not big enough to motivate them to do something. See, if you took all their money away, everything, I guarantee you the people that are kind of bumping along, they have a spouse that makes enough money they can survive. So they're living off of that. So I don't really have to bust my ass and kill myself going to work because I got just enough to get by. So they're happy with just enough. Okay. I know I've gone through that over the years. You got just enough. So you go, oh, it's okay. Why should I kill myself? So that's one thing. The other thing is if somebody's watching him, let's do a mercy killing here. Okay. Boom. Let's just, hey, Frank, you suck. Get out of the business. Goodbye. Okay.
Let's try to motivate him on staying in and make him productive here.
Well, okay.
No Franks will be hurt with the viewing of this episode. Alex, I got to ask you one other follow-up question because it's something about you that I love, and you exude. I mean, no, if it was in the dictionary, the title self-confidence, there'd be a photo of Alex next to it. You exude self-confidence, and I think it's indicative of your position point. You've been through it, you understand it, but you wake up every day with it. How do you keep yourself that motivated out there in front of the consumers, in front of the agents you coach, the whole thing?
Well, for me, I'm just excited about being alive. Like I said earlier, I'm already past where I'm supposed to be dead. So I'm ahead. Okay. I'm just excited. I feel really great. I got a nice house. I got a fantastic wife. My kids are not on drugs. They're not, in trouble. My life is pretty okay. It's nothing super fantastic, but it's great. And I look at it as I'm grateful for where I am and what I have done over the years. And so I'm motivated to just get up and get going and keep going. A lot of people don't have that motivation. There's two kinds of motivation, internal and external. I'm internally motivated. There is not a lot of people like me that are internally motivated, you see? So, they need external motivation. They need that kick in the butt or the carrot stick, that's what they need. So our job as brokers, as managers, is to look at that person. And I know you guys do that. You guys have meetings with your agents and look at the goals and all of that kind of stuff. And it's like what Brandon said earlier. When he used to write his schedule, I said, this is not, you're not writing it for you, you're writing it for me. So do these people are really actually motivated to do what they need to do? Do they have real goals, or do they write those goals just to make Chris and Brandon happy? Is it a real goal? Are they really excited? When I bought one of my first houses up in Canada, I took a picture of the house. I had no money. I was flat broke. I took a picture of the house and I made multiple copies. I had one in a frame on top of the TV. I had one inside my car at the sun visor. I had one in my diary on the page. As soon as I opened it, what I saw was the house. So it's all about motivation. It's either you are motivated to do something or not. And that's what I look at. So when I had my agents, like I said, I had a lot of agents, when I had different offices. I just look at their motivation. And there's those groups of people, like I said, they're unwilling and unable, they just should not be in the business. But the ones that are showing some desire and they may be lacking the skill. The way I used to train my agents is I would go on a listing appointment with them. And first I would do the listing. I said, don't say anything. And I would do everything. Then after that, we'd go together and let them do it. And I kind of helped along and then cut them loose. So sometimes it's like teaching your kids how to ride a bicycle. Sometimes you need the training wheels on. I would look at the people that are not doing well and see why they're not doing well. Is it a motivational problem? Is it a skill problem? It's one of those two things. Either they're not motivated or they're not skillful enough, and or they shouldn't be in the business. And you just look at that. I'm very fortunate that way that I came from nothing. I didn't speak the language. I was very lucky to be able to, because I struggled until 1983. I drove old beat up cars. I lived in an apartment, never had money, never had any money in the bank account. And as soon as I, gained $1,000, I go, woohoo, I got $1,000. My car would break down or something bad would happen. And I used to say, why all these things are happening to me? But here was the thing that Jim Rohn taught me. Stop asking yourself stupid questions. The question should be, how do I make this better? Not why is this happening to me? So he would just, talk about, it's all mental, it's all your mental facility of how you think. I think a little bit different than a lot of people in the business. So that's what it is. I think we need to check the agent and we need to look inside the cranium a little bit and see what's going on with him. And that's what it is. Some people, I've seen them. Brandon, remember that guy that worked for your office? The young guy that wasn't doing good. And then I came into town, we did the training and he started prospering like crazy. Kevin Harkness. Remember him?
Yeah, he was, that was interesting. He was 19, just got into real estate, went through your academy, showed up in a tank top and shorts. And just so you know, that didn't go over well. And then by the end of the training, or midway through the training, he asked Alex, what do I need to be successful? And he basically says, you need to dress differently. The kid went out and bought suits and he never showed up to work again without being in a suit. And then the last day, I think you asked him, he said, what else can I do? And you said, what do you drive? And he said, I drive a Ford Festiva. And you asked him why. And he said, because it's paid for. And you said, where do you live? And he goes, I live with my parents. And you said, go sell that roller skate and go get your own place. And he did. Like, he just blindly went and did exactly what Alex told him, created that motivation to do something because he was too comfortable. And he did $13 million in sales that year. And this was 20 years ago. And, he was one of my top agents at 20 by the time he hit 20 and he worked for sell by owners. Like, he really went after the for sale by owner and expireds.
Yeah. And he did great. And I remember because I remember him, he told us a story. He went out and bought a BMW. But first of all, he said, I can't afford a place. I can't afford a better car. And my attitude is, if you're not motivated, go out and buy something you can't afford. You'll get your ass in gear. And that's what he did. He went out and bought a BMW. I remember him going to the listing appointment and pulled up in the BMW. And he says, the guy was looking at him through the window. And he got out of his car in his suit and walked up to the house. And the guy looked outside and goes, ooh, nice car. And he was like, yeah, that's me. And it's sometimes it's like Jim Rohn used to say to me, fake it till you make it. I'm not saying to be false and fake about how you interact with people. It's how do you want to be, how do you become $1 million, person? First, you got to be in your head before it gets into your pocket. You have to attract it to you. The law of attraction doesn't lie. You attract what you, if you say, Oh my God. I keep losing these listings. Oh my God. I can't seem to sell anything. Why are buyers always liars? It's what you're saying to yourself. It's the way you look at things. And I would always go when I go to a listing appointment, I'm like, I can get the listing. The question is, do I want it or not? I'll walk away from the listing. So it's not whether I can do it or not. It's that, Chris, you're talking about that confidence. It's what you say to yourself. Number one thing, write your affirmations every morning. I'm a great salesperson. I used to do that with my daughter, Chantal, when she was little. I used to tell her, I'm strong, I'm powerful, I'm smart, I'm beautiful. I used to tell her to do that. And let me tell you another story, Brandon. You remember the Chick-fil-A story?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Chris, this was the thing. My daughter came home from school one day and she brought home a box of chocolates. School wanted them to sell chocolates to raise money for their charity. Anyway, so she got these chocolates and I go, okay, I'll go with you. And we go in the neighborhood to sell the chocolates. And she walk up to the door, knock on the door, and she says, hello, sir. Would you like to buy some chocolates? And the guy goes, no, sorry, sweetie. We don't like chocolates. We don't want any chocolates. She come back. I'm standing at the side of the street, and she got this big sad face. And so I walk to the next door with her. And again, I listen to her script. It's all about scripting. But would you like to buy, a chocolate? It's only $1 and nothing. So I say, kid, let's take a look at the chocolates. I look at the chocolates, and the chocolate, it was $1 you pay for the chocolate, and in the back of the chocolate wrapper was a coupon for a free Chick-fil-A sandwich. So I said, you got the wrong script, kid. Here's your new script. So I had her repeat the script to me. Hi, how would you like to get a free Chick-fil-A sandwich? And I'll tell you what the people are going to say. How do I do that, little girl? You buy a chocolate for $1 and you get a $2.75 coupon that gives you a free Chick-fil-A sandwich. How many would you like? So I teach her that script. She goes to the next house, lady buys 6 chocolate bars. With a few doors, she sold all the chocolate bars. Okay? So I said to her, go back to school tomorrow and get some more chocolates. We're going to sell some more. She goes, we can sell more? I go, oh, yeah, we can sell more. Go get another box. She got the other box. But this time I even did it better. I said to her, okay, let's go. Let's not do the neighborhood. We went to Chick-fil-A and I had to stand at the drive-thru. Okay? Car pulls up. Obviously, they want to buy Chick-fil-A sandwiches, right? She knocked on the window. She goes, hey, how would you like a Chick-fil-A sandwich for free? They go, free? Sure. How do I do that? You buy my chocolate bar for $1 and there are these coupons. And so people would buy it. Well, some person said, I don't want the chocolate. Just give me the damn coupons. Bought 10 of them. And it was funny because she sold out really fast and everybody going through the drive-thru had coupons. So all of a sudden the manager comes running out of the Chick-fil-A. Get the hell off my property. What do you got to do? Everybody's got a coupon. The moral of the story is go where it is. The problem is agents are doing things that, when they're prospecting, they're doing cold calling. Like that Kevin Harkness, he worked FSBOs and expires. I said to him, work the FSBOs. They're a gold mine. They want to sell. They may not like a realtor. They don't want to deal with it. They don't want to pay a commission. If you can figure out the scripts on how to overcome that, you got business. It's guaranteed business. Okay. So I built my career on FSBOs and expired. Okay. And it's just go where it is. So the agents have to realize when I first started in the business, you know what I used to do? I used to park my car down the street from a brand new builder because people were going in there to the model homes to look at houses. When they came out, I stopped them. Hey, did you buy a house? No, I didn't. I'm a realtor. I can show you other houses that may be a better deal for you. So I picked up clients like that, Why? Because I went where it was. It was an obvious place where, people were, buying houses. So they got to think out of the box. Where can I see people that really want to buy a house?
I love that you said that. That is the best example because I did an open house at a new home site and I put a new home site-in center in my open house and I sold 2 houses to the builder two of their units just because I had the site-in center in front of the new home center. And
Yeah.
it makes perfect sense. It does work.
Yeah, that's right. And here's another idea for the agents. Okay, go to the new home site, make friends with the guys that are sitting there, and say, "Do you ever have somebody come in that has a house to sell and can't buy your house because they got a house to sell? What are you gonna do with those people?" And those people cannot list their house because they work directly for the builder. So I make friends with them. I come bring him coffee and all that, and then I would get that backup business. I built a lot of business on that. So again, go where it is. Figure out where you can get people that are motivated to buy or sell. You know, I go on Craigslist. I used to go on Craigslist to look up people that were renting their properties, and I say, "Hi, are you sick and tired of trying to rent your place out and dealing with fixing light bulbs in the middle of the night and all these problems, and they wreck your house and all that? Hey, I can solve that for you. You don't have to deal with that anymore. Let me sell this for you." You know, so again, start thinking where people are. Go to Chick-fil-A if you want to sell chocolates with Chick-fil-A coupons on it. It was so funny that we did that, and it wasn't like I'm a genius or anything. It just kind of came to me. I'm looking at this little girl that wants to sell chocolate bars, and I'm like, she got the wrong script. And I'm a salesman, I'm a scripter. So let's figure out what's good for the client. It's going back to what does the client want, as opposed to what is it that you want. She wanted to sell chocolate bars, but the way she could sell chocolate bars, she was giving something to the customers. Agents have to do the same kind of thing. So, I know, hey, Brandon, by the way, use my stories on your academy when you guys do the academy. Use a Chick-fil-A story. I think that's one of the greatest stories that I ever had happen to me in my life. And I got lots of those that, I did where I overcome objections and stuff like that. But that was one of those things. It's like, go where it is, you know?
Yeah, go back to I want to go back to Kevin Harkness for a minute on that, because like when you listen to that, and I've thought about all these years that, and it just kind of clicked to me as I'm talking to you here that my perception of that whole thing was wrong, because I thought that by him getting a car and that kind of stuff, it created motivation, and it might have created some motivation for him, but I think it changed his mindset on how he felt about himself as he pulled up to those listings and everything, gave him worth, so to speak, because he was a young guy. And I think that was more of the power behind that, was the change in mindset that kid.
Absolutely. The confidence that he got from wearing a suit. You remember, I was going to throw him out of my training because he was sitting there all kind of obnoxious with his shorts and a cut off t-shirt. And I said, "I'd never buy anything from you. You look disgusting." Like, I just not. And that, Chris, it goes back to saying the truth.
Yeah.
And other people in the training thought the same thing, but this guy looked like crap. And I just said, change the way you look. Nobody's going to deal with you. You look like a punk. I think I even called him a punk,
Hey, Alex, to your point, once you drive $100,000 car and you wear $1,000, $2,000 suit, and you feel that, you will do anything to keep feeling that. I mean, that's the whole point behind it. You want to keep
Listen, once you fly first class, you always want to do first class, okay? And that's what it is. It also, when I got into real estate, I had an old beater car. I had no money. I wasn't rich or anything. I mean, I had a wife and 3 kids, okay, and I was flat ass broke. I drove an old beater a car. The car was an old, beat up. I mean, it was rusty and all that. Muffler was blown. I used to park it around the corner behind the mall so nobody would see me, and I would walk to my office. And the very first thing I did, as soon as I started to make some money, I bought myself a brand new Audi 5000, silver, 4-door, so I could take clients. Because up to that point, if somebody said, "I want to go look at property," I said, my Mercedes is at the dealership. I wasn't lying. It was there,
It just wasn't yours yet.
It just wasn't mine, and I used to get clients to drive me, as opposed to me driving them. So the very first thing I did is bought myself a really nice car. And let me tell you something. When I walked outside I started to dress better. I bought suits. Okay. They weren't $1,000 custom made suits, but I bought suits and I wore a tie and I felt like a business person. I felt better about me. And I don't know who said it, but they said you should dress just a little bit above your customers, you know? Now, here's a funny thing about that. You know, I'm in Florida. I was selling property at Daytona Beach. I would show up in flip flops and shorts, and sometimes in a bathing suit, because I was selling to people that were living on the beach or wanted to buy on the beach. You know, I met people that, you know, they had a yacht, you know, so, you know, I was selling to people. I looked like they did. You know, I fit in with it. I would look really stupid in a suit because everybody's hot as hell. And so everybody, you know, I would look like I belong. And but still, it's that confidence, you know. It's that's what it is. It exudes that, hey, I am a somebody and I feel good about myself. And of course, I think, you know, he had to make the payments on the car, so he definitely he definitely was motivated, you know.
But you put on your best flip flops when you went out and sold those houses.
Yeah.
I know
Oh
it.
yeah, I tell you, you know, my wife bought me these really good ones. You know, I used to have the Walmart cheapy ones, you know, but she bought me the good ones. She even bought me $300 pair of sunglasses, you know, which it kind of bothered me because I usually wear the cheap sunglasses. You know, she's like, "No, you're gonna look better." You know, it's
It's an investment in yourself.
that's
Funny.
what it is, you know. You make yourself look better. Even now, like I've got my shirt on, and it says the Szinegh Group. Okay, the Szinegh Group. So you know,
It's funny when you say that, Alex, because my mom has a friend, Myrna Kingham, and Myrna was known for selling luxury high rises, and she got the contract to sell. I think it's One Hughes Center, right? And they were like, it's where Mike Ferry lives. They're 1 million up to like $50 million high rise units and stuff that they have. And so she went out and bought, $5,000 like St. John suits to wear, in the showroom to show these units. And I was kind of laughed at that because, she's dripping with diamonds and the whole thing. And I'm like, she's selling out of a showroom, but it was the whole point of perspective of would I spend $5 million with this person? Do they know what they're talking about? Do I believe in what they're selling? And it is about presentation. It's not just about what you say, but it's the way you present what you say.
yeah, it's that first impression. You know, it's like when I was selling real estate up in Canada, I had two cars. You know, I had a Lexus and I had a Volkswagen Beetle. And when I went to the really cheap houses, I drove my Beetle. And when I went to the nicer houses, I drove my Lexus. Because, people were like, oh, you make too much commission. You guys are ripping us off, real estate agents and all that. And so I pull up in my Volkswagen Beetle, But then later on, I said, I'm not ashamed of being successful. That's too bad, that I'm successful. And the reason is, because I went with a guy one time in Miami. He drove a Rolls Royce. And you're going to love this presentation. His name was Tim Elves, and he worked for Sotheby's. And I went to a listing appointment with him. We went in his Bentley. And when we went to the house, here's what he said. He said to the customer, Mr. Jones, I made a commitment to myself to help 50 families move this year. I already helped 30. I got 20 spaces left. So why should I take your listing? Tell me. And he had the guy do a listing presentation to him.
That's great.
Now it was like a $5 million house, but he had confidence oozing out of him, like I'm busy. I work with people that are, successful, and I'll take care of your thing. But, I'm only going to invest my time if it's worth my time. So it blew me away. The guy was like, why should I take your listing? I only have 20 spots left. So why should I take your listing? I made a commitment to this. So it's an attitude, it's really an attitude about the attitude is you need me more than I need you. But at the same time, how do I solve your problem? And you know how he got that Bentley? He sold the guy's house that had like 7 or 8 garages. And then he sold him a high-rise condo, only had 2 parking spots. And the guy had 7, 8 cars. And he got that car as a tip, okay? As a tip, like a waiter, okay? The guy said to him, look, Tim, pick one of the cars. I would have picked the Ferrari, but he picked the Bentley. So yeah, it's an attitude, and he was dealing with those kind of people. You know, there's a guy down in Florida here. His name is Carlos, and on Valentine's Day, my wife and I were at the Versace mansion, and that's the guy that sold the Versace mansion. He sold it for $21 million, and he double-ended it. He got his commission was like $1.2 million. Okay, he sold the Versace mansion. Now since Versace died, it's a hotel now and a restaurant. So I took Kay over there for Valentine's. It was fantastic, just to be in that environment. You know, it was very famous. She loved Versace. She watched the show on Netflix and all that, and it reminded me of Carlos. That Carlos sold that place. $21 million, got a 6% commission, double end.
So
and now it's resold again for $40 million. So
yeah, so you can see, Chris, for like 20 plus years, I've been drinking from the fire hose, right? And this is what has shaped me. So, Alex, I really appreciate you coming on today, and I'd like to ask you any last thoughts, anything else you'd like to share with our agents or our listeners before I let you go.
Get off your ass and go to work. Okay.
Wow. Well said.
That won't fit on a T-shirt nor a bumper sticker, but I'll remember it.
That's right.
Very good.
Yeah, just go do what you need to do and what you have to do. What's necessary. That's that. And then don't try to manage your time. Manage the activities and do the activities. Just remember, contacts equals contracts. The more contacts I make, the more contracts I write. What a coincidence, So,
well said.
Yeah.
Well said. Thank you so much, Alex. And thank you all for listening. And remember, we're always affirming your success. Have a great week.